from Kenya to Colombia, from Iraq to Korea, in slums, in schools, in prisons, and in theatres. Every day, people gather at TEDx events around the world to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. Today, you are part of a global conversation about our shared future.
Carter.
My name's Abner Patan.
And today we'll be presenting on what we feel are the 6 most important components of the Human Resources Handbook. I understand that we do have an internet presence here, and I'll be addressing the crowd accordingly. If I could ask if we can all please hold our comments and questions for the end. Without further ado, I'll allow Abner to expound on the first.
How you all doing? I would like to speak on the first component that we feel is important in the Human Resource Management Handbook. That first component would be the work ethics policy. When speaking of the work ethics policy, human resources managers are referring to the promptness, dress code, or even the teamwork of an employee throughout the organization. When speaking of promptness, employees are expected to be on time. Whether that's when being on time, that means an employee can be maybe 5 minutes early, 10 minutes early, so they can prepare for whatever objectives they have to complete for that day. Next, we would like to move to the dress code of the employee. With certain companies, they have uniforms. So with those uniforms, we want to keep the image of the company positive, so we would like to be presentable at all times once we wear our uniforms at work, come to work correctly, you feel me? Next, we would like to move to the teamwork of the organization. When speaking of teamwork, we're speaking of the interaction between the co-workers to ensure that the objective of the whole company is being met. Being able to reach out to a co-worker to help solve a problem is basically what a lot of companies today are striving towards.
Tardiness, in regards to tardiness, as Abner said, is not tolerated here. Employees are expected to arrive on time and to be ready for work when they do arrive. We pay a salary to our workers, and the least that you can do is actually be on time. And as my football coach used to say, get to the spot. The company recognizes that there will be situations that arise which hinder punctuality regardless of tardiness. Tardiness is prohibited and may be subject to disciplinary actions. There are different breaks that we provide to our employees throughout the workday. It's generally one break of 30 minutes. Our employees choose to take that break whenever they like. It's only one break per 6 hours of work. And that was attendance policies. Now Abner will talk about our third most important aspect of the Human Resources Handbook, which is
the social media and data policy. Usually when human resource managers speak of the social media and data policy, they're speaking of how employees conduct themselves while at work and outside of work. It comes time to where employees get outside of work or on the job, speak of things on their social media such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat, and not realizing that these are things they shouldn't be saying. 2 topics in particular, religion and politics, are 2 things that should not be discussed in the workplace. Human resource managers should remind employees that when they are at work, that their job comes first. If an employee is not a social media manager, they should not be on social media at all unless it's pertaining to something dealing with the job. Also, lastly, employees are warned to not talk about financial information, sales trends, forecasts, or any future predictions or promotions that the company has in mind. Now we would like to move to our 4th component that we feel is important to our employee handbook.
Thanks, Abner.
You're welcome.
And I'll talk a little bit about what I like to call the big number 4, which is workplace commitments. This company is an equal opportunity employer and does not unlawfully discriminate against employees or applicants for employment on the basis of an individual's race, color, creed, sex, national orientation, age, disability, marital status, veteran status, or any other status protected by applicable law. We prohibit discrimination or harassment of any form or fashion. Each individual here has the right to work in a professional work environment that prohibits equal employment opportunities and is free from discriminatory practices, including without limitation to harassment. And violations of this policy will not be prohibited. Employees are prohibited from unlawfully consuming, distributing, possessing, or selling any controlled substance while on duty. In addition, employees may not be under the influence of any controlled substance, such as drugs or alcohol, while at work, on company premises, or engaged in any company business. Anyone violating this policy may be subject to disciplinary action up to and not excluding immediate termination. The company has an open door policy, however, and takes employees' concerns and problems seriously. Employees are encouraged to bring any workplace concerns or problems that they might have or know about to their supervisors or any member, in that case, of management, including the CEO. We are a people-first firm, and we understand that the success of our company is directly derived from the success of our employees, and we know that the health and well-being of our employees has directly impacted our success in the past. So we take our employees' mental state very seriously, and we want to create and maintain an atmosphere for them to be as comfortable as possible so they can work and be productive.
Now we would like to move on to the fifth component of the Human Resource Management Employee Handbook that we feel that is important, the retaliation policy. A company's retaliation policy prohibits any form of retaliatory action against employees who raise issues or ask questions, also make reports, participate in any investigation, refuse to participate in suspected, improper, or wrongful activity, or exercise workplace rights protected by a law. Employees could engage in protected activities such as discrimination or harassment, fraud, non-compliance with company's policies or procedures, including the code of conduct. Lastly, retaliation is when an employee takes adverse action against employees because he or she was engaged in protected activity. Adverse activities include demotion, suspension, termination, or failure to hire or failure to consider an employee for promotion. Now we would like to move to our last component that we feel are important in the Human Resource Management Handbook.
Lastly, I'll be talking about the sixth and final, which is work performance. The company expects every employee to act in a professional manner. Satisfactory performance of a job duties and responsibility is key to this expectation. Employees should attempt to achieve their job objectives and act with diligence and consideration at all times. Poor job performance can result in disciplinary actions up to and including termination. The company may periodically evaluate employees' performance. The goal of a performance review is to identify areas where an employee excels and also areas where an employee may need some type of improvement. The company uses performance review as a tool to determine pay increases, promotion, and or termination. All performance reviews are based on, but not limited to, merit, achievement, quality of work, attitude, job skills, teamwork, past performance reviews, improvement, and an acceptance of responsibility and constructive feedback. Employees should note that a performance review does not guarantee a pay increase. Evaluations or any subsequent change in employment status, position, or pay does not alter the employee's at-will relationship with the company. Supervisors and employees should interact with mutual respect and common courtesy. Employees are expected to take instructions from supervisors and or persons of authority at all times. Failures to comply with these instructions or unreasonably delaying compliance is considered insubordination. Acts of insubordination are subjected to disciplinary actions up to and not excluding termination. This sums up what we feel are the 6 most important components of a human resources handbook. And to reiterate, they are work ethics,
attendance policies,
social media,
workplace commitments,
retaliation,
and work performance.
and I hope this TED Talks add value to you and your prospective companies.
Thank you.